Before we move into each ceremony, let's touch on Agile roles briefly. Typically, we have a product owner who manages the backlog and the priorities, a Scrum Master who facilitates and coaches, and developers or teammates who are doing the actual work. Think of it this way. The product owner ensures we are building the right thing. The Scrum Master ensures we are building it on the right way, process-wise. And the dev team handles the how of the technical and creative work. They all need each other to succeed. A Scrum Master is often called the master of the ceremonies. They help organize and facilitate the events, coach the team on Agile principles, and act as a shield against external distractions. If stand-ups become too long or retros become a blame fest, the Scrum Master needs to step in to fix it. Product owner is the keeper of the backlog. They balance stakeholder desires, user feedback, and business needs to decide which items take priority. They also make sure each user story has enough detail so that the team can actually build it without guesswork. The product owner is the expert on the product. So means also the owner of the backlog, as I said. And it definitely makes sense to see the backlog a little bit like a grocery list that daily changes. This is a relatively good behavior to have the right priority for the backlog. Priority is the right trigger word and buzzword. Priorities help, especially when they are good maintained in your task management tool like Jira. Priorities help that the team can make self-decisions what should be next developed. So means when you go later in planning meetings and you have a proper priority, then developers, for example, can already prepare what they want to take next, and it's a much shorter meeting. Product owner is a hard job because very often, that's what happened to me, very often I have tons of things in my head, but I have not the time or I'm too lazy to write it down. And I see it nearly every week when I miss the point to write something down. I have unnecessary meetings about it. People start to guesswork, and worst case scenario, they start to develop on guessworks. So here, for the product owner, is definitely the most important rule. Keep the backlog documented in your task management system. And important for this as well is communicate the vision. So it doesn't help when you have 20 user stories which describe single features. It should have an additional layer on top of it, which explains the vision for the product. And this should be best case sorted in 3 steps: actual vision, short-term vision, and the long-term vision. And the actual vision is very often aligned to a sprint goal or to a goal for a couple of sprints. I will come to this back later. The midterm vision, we use it very often on a more quarterly perspective. So what we want to achieve this quarter, it fits by the way really good with OKRs, but that's another story. And the long-term vision is really what's the vision for the product. And this is very often described then really as values and not so much as features anymore. Good user stories in the backlog and a good communicated vision helps that developers can see the complete picture, not just developers, also UI and UX designers, that they can see the complete picture and they can act by themselves with their self-responsibility without asking all the time the product owner or Scrum Master what to do next. So keep this in mind for the product owner, super important role next to the Scrum Master. Normally you would expect now the slide developers, but no, let's talk about cross-functional teams here and functional teams. I mean, developers, yes, I mean developers when I talk in the training about developers. But it could be also other teams, like a marketing team. Also, my marketing team, for example, is running in a Scrum framework. But what is the difference between the teams? Functional teams. So functional teams organized by specialty. So this is in a world of full stack developer. Very often a development team for a specific product. For bigger products, it's a front-end team, a back-end team, QA, UI, UX, and so on. The benefit of functional teams is that handoffs in the team can be done super quick. And the benefit is also that normally everybody understands the other person. So this is, for example, super interesting when you do estimations. We will come later to this in the planning meeting, but just as an example here, estimations, or as a group activity, estimations make only sense in functional teams. So like planning poker, for example, you can do it in a functional team. Don't try it in a cross-functional team. I tried it, it makes totally no sense. Then you have a front-end developer who need to guess how much work it is to write a blog article. Cross-functional teams. Cross-functional teams have different skill sets. Means the handover from different activities is much faster as in a functional team because developer, UI design, they're working together in a team. You have more collaboration. This is a pro. The con is it often means also more communication. So be careful with that. This can play a role for all your Agile ceremonies. In most of the cases, from my experience, or also what customers and partners told to me, nowadays we often see more cross-functional teams as functional teams. But I'm looking forward to your feedback here. For Agile success, clarify everyone's roles. Encourage self-management so the team feels ownership of how they work, and champion collaboration. If you create an atmosphere where people can openly share, you'll see big leaps in efficiency and morale. So when we deep dive in these points of clear roles and boundaries, you definitely also should be sensible when, especially in smaller operations, one person has multiple roles. It is possible, it can make sense, but it is then more difficult for the person and also for the team. A small cheat is here that the person, first of all, thinks about, but also communicate always in which role, which activity happens. This helps the team to understand why a decision was made, for example. I'm a big fan of the self-management approach, and I definitely learned you can give a lot of self-management to the team. Important is that they understand their dancing area and also your expectations. What is your expectations, how far they should go with decisions, for example. But at the end, it also means that you need to document all the stuff, what is in your mind. Because this is at the end the enabler to foster the self-management of the team. When everything is in your mind and not documented, you will run tons of meetings and ceremonies again and again, and you need to explain yourself again and again, and the team has still no chance to adapt what you want. Definitely, collaboration is a key of these Agile success. Collaboration and communication. And combine this with the stuff what we said in the beginning, the openness for change. So when you have these three values, collaboration, communication, openness for change, you're already on a really good way. So let's summarize it quickly. The product owners handles the what, the Scrum Masters owns the how, and the team execute to get it done. When each role respects the others and the boundaries are clearly defined, your ceremonies will run smoothly.